In all of my projects, whether it's a web application or a desktop application, RxJava remains the core component. One of the key benefits of a reactive programming is that it helps you to write concurrent parallel implementations quite conveniently without thinking in terms of executor service, fork join poll, etc. So the RxJS backend is a combination of Spring, RxJava, and now the virtual threads. Virtual threads are basically hyper-threading within the JVM, and now the JVM can run millions of lightweight threads because obviously virtual threads are much more memory efficient than the traditional platform threads because they don't require to have their own dedicated native stack. So this combination, Spring, RxJava, and now the virtual threads is actually a very powerful combination. It makes your entire application robust, more scalable, and brings the ability to handle large number of concurrent requests. However, when you're using Spring plus RxJava, not talking about the Spring Webflux, there are a couple of things you need to handle. For example, the transaction management and the context propagation. With Webflux, a lot of this comes out of the box. But since I personally prefer to work with RxJava, love to work with RxJava, so I have to handle these two aspects, the transaction management and the context propagation. Let me just hover over this method. As you can see that the Spring transaction management assumes assumes a single threaded flow where the transaction starts, commits, or roll back within the same thread. So when we are building concurrent reactive chains, there may be instances where our DB queries are executed outside the transactional context. Let me explain you with an example. So let me just write transactional public single is Spring JPA transaction. Yeah, it's Spring JPA transaction. Patient create patient. It's just a dummy example. Return single dot form callable this dot query builder dot save or update patient. Like just an example, just a dummy example. If I use the transaction annotation here, it would work completely fine. The reason is that the subscriber thread is within the transactional context. That's why the transaction annotation would work completely fine. But when we are building concurrent reactive chains, there may be instances where our DB queries are executed outside the transactional context. Just for example, let me just write something dummy here. Completable action. It's just a dummy example. So even in this case, let me just modify this bit. Completable.end then. So even in this example, the transactional annotation would work fine because the subscriber thread is within the transactional context. If I actually switch the context, for example, dot subscribe on Spring Scheduler dot virtual thread. If I actually switch this context, now this transaction annotation won't work. And our DB query, DB persisting query would be executed outside the transactional context. That's why it's generally not recommended to use the transaction annotation with the reactive implementation. Therefore, I had to write two helper classes, single transaction factory and the completable transaction factory. That ensures our reactive chain still maintain a proper transactional scope. These classes have two methods, execute transaction and execute transaction in read only. I've also open sourced the gist for it. Also, here's the gist for it. Let me just open it. Also, you can write similar implementation for the single transaction factory. So what it does is you have to implement the transaction synchronization manager. There's a method is actual transaction active. So if the transaction if the transaction is active, you put this entire code block in that if block, and in the else block you continue with this code block. So what it does is, what the complete table transaction and the factory and the single transaction factory does is, it first checks whether the transaction is active. If it's not active, if it's active, join with the existing transaction. Otherwise, create a new transaction using the transactional template. That's basically the purpose of the execute transaction in read only. So all our reactive chains, all our reactive code block is wrapped within the execute transaction or the execute transaction in read only. And this ensures that transactional boundaries are maintained within the reactive execution. Meaning, all the operations wrapped inside this block run within the same transactional context. That was all about the Spring transaction management. Now the context propagation. So when we are using Spring JPA auditing, we have two fields, last modified by and the created by. These two fields internally rely on the security context holder. But when we are using Spring plus RxJava, both our controllers and services are running on different threads. So the context is lost. So when we are persisting these values created by and last modified by, the security context holder returns the principal object as null because the context is lost. Therefore, you need to implement a context propagation implementation. For example, scheduler context propagation, single context propagation, completable context propagation, etc. etc. The workflow is, you first capture the context before the execution, propagate that context before running the task, execute the task, and then finally perform the cleanup. This context propagation ensures that the context is passed across the RxJava threads. That was all about the transaction management, the context propagation. Now we are going to discuss the workflow explanation, data pre-processing, which were done on the Chexpert dataset, feature extraction, optimizations, which were done on the binary elements, and then finally showcasing a live demo and explaining how everything works.